Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 236 of bulking to 75 kilos, and today is a back day. Now, when it comes to bodyweight back days or calisthenics back days in general, right, the two movements everyone knows is the row and the pull-up, right? You have the row, horizontal, you train your mid-back, and you have the pull-ups like this, which trains your lats. But what if I told you you can do the both at once, right? And just use one exercise to build a thick and voluptuous back like nobody's business, right? And if you watch this channel regularly, you will know already, but I'm talking about the front lever, because the front lever is this movement where you basically just keep yourself horizontally, like this. Quick warm-up set. You keep yourself horizontal, and by doing so, first of all, you are having to retract your shoulders. You need to retract your shoulders, and this engages your mid-back muscles, just like a rowing movement. But also, you have to put pressure on the bar like this, which activates your lats. Normally you would activate your lats in the pull-up, but now you're doing it this way. It's like a gym movement, but you're doing it on the bar. So you're activating your lats and your mid-back at the same time, and basically you're getting horsecock strong, because especially when it comes to body weight, you're doing the Australian pull-ups, the rows, or you're doing the pull-up. At some point, you're just going to be able to do tons of reps, and that's good for endurance. But when it comes to just becoming insanely strong, sometimes you want lower rep ranges as well. And when it comes to the front lever, well, you can get to a very high level and still have a difficult time doing all those movements, doing the front lever press, doing a front lever pull-up, a row like this. And it's just an insane exercise. I am not sponsored or threatened by, the concept of front lever, I just love the fucking exercise, so I'll talk about it again and again and again. But basically, in the front lever, of course, you have the normal hold, you can just keep the position, but you can also, like I just did in my warm-up set, you can press up and like making the movement for your lats. You're doing like a lats push down, or what is it, cable pull over, like you do in the gym, but it's on a bar. Or you can do a pull-up like you're doing rows, and when you keep the position at the top level, right, you're doing something called a front lever touch, and basically everything in your mid-back and in the front lever touch, your rear delts and your upper back as well are gonna get freakishly strong, and it's just body weight, so it's an insanely good way to train your back and become strong as hell. Now today, what I'm gonna do is focus on some holds. I've been doing front lever pull-ups in the last couple trainings, and the neighbor's cat is on the roof. That's that's funny. But what was I saying? Yes, I've been doing pull-ups in the latest trainings, but not exactly, happy with my progress. So I'm just gonna switch things up, do a bit of holds and presses, because basically, once you get strong at the hold in the front lever, that's like your base. And if you have strong basics, well, you become strong in all the other stuff as well. So I'm gonna do 5 sets first of 30 seconds holds, but I'm not gonna be able to do that, So what I'm gonna do in between is, when I'm not able to do 30 seconds of full front lever anymore, I'm basically gonna drop down the progression and do sort of a drop set. Now, I used to do this with 45 seconds, but, I'm gonna lower the intensity a little bit for my planche attempt in a couple days. And that's why, it's just a bit lower in the amount of seconds. But anyway, that doesn't really matter, right? We're still going to have a good training, get a good pump, and first, most of all, enjoy. So let's go. Ah, 30 seconds already feels difficult. I'm rusty, but anyway, couple more sets like this will be good. Like I said, if I'm not able to do it 30 seconds in full front lever, I'll just drop down to like one leg front lever or something like that, even tuck front lever, will give me a good stimulus. So let's go. Whew. All right. I'm gonna keep it at 3 sets because this is heavier than I thought. I'm weaker than I thought, but that's also a good thing because now I know why I wasn't progressing on my pull-ups. It's because my front lever itself, the hold, is weak as shit. So we have to do something, right? But today, I'm gonna keep it at 3 sets because I want to keep myself fresh, throughout my entire body to attempt 20 seconds of full planche on Monday. Let's do a couple more sets though, of something else. One thing I do want to mention though is when you do the front lever, just like in the planche, you want to squeeze the bar. You don't want to just, grip it loosely and have your fingers kind of dripping off. You want to grip it tightly so that your entire palm, is basically making contact with the bar. If your entire palm, is on the bar, you're gonna be able to transfer more force from your lats, into it, and you're gonna be able to use your power that you have more efficiently. You're gonna be able to use more of it because it translates into the bar better. So, grip the bar tightly. That's very important in the front lever. Okie dokie, so you see the dips bar standing there menacingly. And basically I'm switching over to the dips bar to do some pull-ups, front lever pull-ups and presses. I've done a lot of holds now, but nothing in motion yet. I didn't do any dynamic stuff yet. So I'm just gonna do one set of that before moving on to some normal pull-ups, I believe. But anyway, the reason I do the pull-ups on a thicker bar is because it's easier. You grab it with a false grip, and because the bar is thicker, you have less range of motion. The front lever becomes most difficult when you're pulling up, and you're at the top position because then your lats come out of the equation a little bit. Trust me, there's still pressure on there, but the pressure moves on more from the lats to the mid back and upper back and rear delts. So, when you're using a thick bar, you don't have to pull your elbows as far backward as you usually would have to on a thin bar. And basically, the further your elbows are coming back, the more difficult it is. Therefore, the further your elbows are forward, the easier it becomes. So let's do one set here. Okay, let's do some pull-ups. Last time I got 18. Let's aim for 20 now. It's also been less of an intense training, just less sets in general, but also I didn't go to my true max. I went until it was burning, and then I stopped because I didn't want to exert myself too much, which, I say it out loud and it sounds like, something a fucking pussy would say, but that's like the difficult balance you have to find, Like sometimes doing your best or like trying your hardest is not trying your hardest in the training, but rather trying hard to recover so that you can give your all, give your everything on like a certain max attempt, which is my case at the moment. And it's like this difficult conversation you have to have with yourself, like, oh, don't be a pussy, but also like you have to recover. Because if you don't, you're going to end up blaming yourself after the max attempt that you're trying to do, after the big effort that you're wanting to do, or even worse, you're gonna use it as an excuse, like, oh yeah, I did my max effort attempt, I did my max effort training, and it didn't go as planned, but that's because I wasn't rested, That's not an excuse. That you've got yourself to blame for things like that, So make sure that you can't blame yourself for that. Anyway, 20 reps with some pull-ups will be nice. All right, that's nice. Okay, and all things considered, I do believe that I am pumped to shit. Woo! Whew! Hell yeah. Let's sit down and discuss. I mean, is there a lot to discuss today? Maybe one thing, first of all, well, a couple things, I guess. First of all, front lever is the ultimate back burner, the ultimate back builder, I'm sorry. Because let's face it, you just use all the muscles. Okay, you don't have a vertical pulling movement, but you're still using your lats, and you're using all of your other muscles at the same time as well. So front lever is just gonna get you horsecock strong with just body weight training. Yes, I do add weight sometimes, but I'm also training for like 9 years right now. So in the first couple of years, trust me, you don't need it. And especially if you do your training like a bit more bodybuilding style and you do your reps controlled, right? You're not gonna need weight. I do weighted stuff because I like, oh, holy fucking shit, excuse me. I like to, use some momentum sometimes, and just pull the life out of my body, like literally, momentum and all that shit. Doing some dirty reps, and then yeah, you might need some weight after some years of training. But anyway, other than that, yeah, not too much sets today. But I'm not one of those guys that says that you need a lot of sets anyway. I truly believe if you can push yourself, you can get away with even one set if you want to. Is it gonna get you the best results in every field? No, it's gonna give you very good muscle building results. I do believe that, but also, one of the downsides is you don't have a lot of time or time under tension in total to adapt to movement patterns, and maybe your strength gains will not be what you want them to be. You're gonna get stronger, of course, but don't expect to get world-class front lever level on one set every training. That's just not gonna happen. But anyway, if it was like the best method for everything, everyone would be using it, right? It's just that every kind of training has their own usage, right? Their own benefits and downsides, and you have to choose which benefits you care about and which downsides you don't care about, right? So yeah, lots of different ways to train. But anyway, today was a good training, was weak, but at the same time found out the weak spot, the thing that I have to fix to make progress again in the front lever, which I consider gains as well. But tomorrow is gonna be a leg day, and yeah, I'll see you then.